My beloved child, something about this moment is unlike all the others that came before it. If something within you guided you here without a clear explanation, do not dismiss that quiet pull. There is a reason you were led to these words. Even now, unseen changes are beginning to shape what lies ahead for you. Long before you arrived at this very moment, your name surfaced in someone's heart with a depth they did not expect. It was never a fleeting thought or a passing curiosity. It lingered. It returned again and again, growing stronger each time. And while you are hearing these words, those feelings continue to deepen where your eyes cannot yet reach. Stay with me, because something meaningful is unfolding. There is someone who has quietly reached a place where imagining the future no longer feels complete unless you are somehow part of it. What surprises them most is how impossible it has become to deny what they feel. At first, they convinced themselves it was simple curiosity. Later, they called it admiration. Then they believed they were merely paying attention to little things. But eventually, every small detail about you began carrying greater significance. The way you express yourself, the pauses you take before speaking, even the feeling that lingers after you've left, all of it settled deeply within them. What you may never have realized is that one seemingly ordinary moment changed everything. Perhaps it was something you said, a simple gesture, or even a silence you shared. Whatever it was, it stayed with them in a way they never expected. Since then, they have quietly measured ordinary days against that unforgettable memory. Keep listening, because what lies beneath these emotions is more important than you realize. They are no longer wondering only how you are doing. They have begun imagining what life might become if your path and theirs slowly merged into one. That thought didn't arrive easily. It came after hesitation, after questioning themselves, after trying to dismiss their emotions and convince themselves to slow down. Yet instead of fading, those feelings became impossible to ignore. What makes this different is that they are not simply reacting emotionally. They are thinking carefully, thoughtfully. They have begun noticing that your presence brings peace into places where they usually experience restlessness. Memories involving you seem brighter than many of life's larger experiences. Even the smallest moments with you continue shining long after they've passed. Don't leave yet, because this part matters more than you think. Some people enter another person's life only briefly. Others quietly begin influencing future decisions before anything is ever spoken aloud. You have become that rare presence. That is why they have grown quieter lately. Behind those quiet moments, they are weighing possibilities they never imagined considering so soon. They find themselves asking questions they never expected to ask. What if this is real? What if this person isn't meant to be temporary? What if these feelings appeared for a reason? Although they haven't spoken these questions aloud, their actions have already begun answering them. They look for signs of you more often. They remember details you barely noticed mentioning. Long after conversations end, they replay them in their mind. None of this is happening by accident. Somewhere inside them, your presence has begun carrying real meaning. The reason these emotions continue growing is because they recognize something uncommon within you. They sense a quiet strength, an honesty that feels increasingly rare, and a depth that doesn't demand attention yet is impossible to overlook. Stay until the end, because something significant is still ahead. What they feel extends beyond attraction. It rests on the belief that what exists between you could survive changing emotions, passing excitement, and temporary seasons. Sometimes the heart recognizes lasting stability before the mind finds words to explain it. That is exactly what is happening. Even if uncertainty still appears on the surface, inwardly they are closer to certainty than you know. There is also something they have shared with no one. More than once they have imagined opening their heart to you. Yet every time they picture that conversation, they stop themselves. Not because they lack courage, but because they fear the timing may not be right. They wonder whether to speak now, wait longer, or protect these feelings until they understand them more completely. That hesitation is not weakness. It is evidence that what they feel has become too valuable to handle carelessly. Don't skip ahead, because the next truth explains why these emotions became impossible for them to ignore. Recently, something happened that made everything clearer. Perhaps there was distance. Perhaps there was unexpected silence. Maybe they simply went longer than usual without hearing from you. During that absence, they discovered just how loudly your absence spoke. Sometimes people only recognize true value when something meaningful suddenly becomes quiet. That silence revealed how important your presence had already become. Now this feeling carries weight. It carries possibility. And once possibility settles into the heart, the future stops feeling distant. It becomes deeply personal. That is why thoughts of building something genuine arrived much sooner than either of you expected. Not because every answer already exists, but because something inside them refuses to treat this connection lightly anymore. Stay here, because this is only the beginning. While you continue wondering who could possibly be thinking about you this deeply, someone has already started viewing their future differently simply because you entered it. Thoughts they never expected now return without invitation. Your name crosses their mind during ordinary moments. A memory of you interrupts their focus. A peaceful evening stretches longer because something reminds them of you. No matter how hard they try to concentrate elsewhere, one quiet question continues returning. Why does this feel unlike anything before? The truth is they tried explaining these emotions logically, but not every meaningful feeling begins with understanding. Sometimes certainty arrives first, while explanations come later. At first, they believed this was temporary, but the feeling remained after difficult days, after distractions, after distance. That was when they understood its depth. Now one silent question keeps following them. Would the future truly feel complete without you? That question refuses to disappear. Recently, they noticed something about you that reached far beyond appearance or conversation. They saw the way you carry yourself through uncertainty. They recognized the calm strength within your spirit, even during your quietest moments. That steadiness stayed with them. Now another realization has formed. Perhaps this connection arrived for a purpose they shouldn't ignore. That thought has made everything more serious. They no longer wonder whether you are unforgettable. They already know you are. Now they question whether they should move closer before too much time passes. Few people understand how powerful this stage truly is. This is the moment when someone begins protecting a feeling long before revealing it. Their words may remain ordinary while their heart grows louder each day. They may appear calm, yet replay every conversation afterward. They may seem patient while secretly watching every small sign. Silence does not always mean the absence of emotion. Sometimes it simply means the heart has become incredibly careful. There is another reason these thoughts of the future appeared sooner than expected. They have already seen enough to believe you are not an ordinary chapter in their story. Not because everything is perfect, not because every uncertainty has disappeared, but because you have brought them a rare sense of emotional certainty in a world that often feels uncertain. They have even imagined what would happen if someone else reached your heart before they found the courage to reach for you themselves. That possibility unsettled them more deeply than they expected. It forced them to admit that losing the chance to know you would hurt far more than they ever imagined. Since then, every small detail has carried greater meaning. A shift in your voice, a change in your attention, a longer silence, even a smile that seems to hide something unspoken. When someone begins imagining a future with another person, even the smallest moments become significant. The remarkable part is they may not even realize how visible these feelings have become. Sometimes one message from you changes their entire mood. One brief conversation stays with them for hours. One simple interaction echoes long after it ends. The heart does not repeat someone's presence this often without reason. There is still one truth they have barely admitted, even to themselves. They trust the peace they experience around you more than many words they hear from anyone else. That trust grew quietly over time. Your presence brings calm instead of confusion, clarity instead of chaos, and a gentle curiosity about what tomorrow might hold. Because of that, they no longer see you as someone connected only to today. Their thoughts have moved beyond casual conversations or passing encounters. They are beginning to wonder what remains if time continues moving forward while these feelings keep growing stronger. The answer is closer than they realize. The reason these thoughts about the future have become so powerful is because something inside them believes you entered their life precisely when they were finally ready to experience love differently. In the past, they may have ignored emotions like these. They may have walked away too quickly or hidden behind self-protection. But something has changed. Instead of running, they are standing still. They are allowing themselves to discover where these feelings might lead. And the moment someone stops running from what their heart truly feels, everything begins to change. That is why what comes next may surprise you. Silence cannot remain forever. Something sincere is drawing closer. Something thoughtful is preparing to reveal itself. And when the right moment finally arrives, what has quietly been growing beneath the surface will no longer be able to stay hidden. And the one who carries these thoughts about you is standing much closer to certainty than they were only yesterday. What remains hidden is no longer uncertainty or confusion. Instead, it is a quiet decision taking shape beneath the ordinary rhythm of everyday life. With each passing day, pretending that these emotions are small becomes more difficult. Some feelings can be pushed aside for a while, but others only return with greater strength each time silence attempts to bury them. This has become one of those feelings. Stay with me, because what comes next may be more important than you realize. A gentle realization recently settled into their heart. They discovered that your presence has begun shaping the way they imagine peace, not merely excitement or temporary happiness, but the kind of peace that arrives when someone becomes deeply meaningful. That understanding caught them by surprise. It may have happened while they were sitting alone, remembering something simple about you, or during an ordinary moment that suddenly felt extraordinary because your memory quietly appeared without warning. In that instant, something became clear. This is no longer driven by emotion alone. It has become something filled with purpose and significance. Keep listening, because the deepest part of this story is only beginning to unfold. The reason their thoughts have become more serious is simple. They have tried to go through life without thinking about you, yet it never lasts. Your face returns, your voice echoes in their mind. Even conversations left unfinished continue playing over again. That constant return has become impossible to dismiss. What surprises them even more is how naturally you now appear inside plans they once kept entirely to themselves. Dreams about stability, growth, time, and the future somehow include you without effort. That doesn't happen when someone is merely passing through another person's life. It happens when someone begins filling a place in the heart that cannot easily be replaced. Don't leave yet, because this next truth explains why their heart is moving ahead while their words struggle to catch up. They still worry about timing, but what frightens them even more is waiting too long. Somewhere deep inside, they understand that meaningful connections can become fragile if left untouched for too long. Because of that realization, they have become more observant than ever before. They notice your responses. They pay attention to your energy. They recognize when your warmth grows stronger and when distance quietly appears. It isn't because they wish to control anything. They simply want to know whether what feels so real inside them could someday become real between the two of you. While all of this unfolds quietly, another unexpected change has happened. Hope has slowly replaced the caution that once protected their heart. That is why even the smallest things now carry extraordinary importance. A brief message from you, an unexpected smile, or a tiny detail you happen to remember becomes something unforgettable to someone whose feelings continue growing. Stay until the end, because something meaningful is drawing closer. There is one memory they return to more often than they would ever admit. It was a moment when you were simply yourself, without trying to impress anyone or become anything other than who you naturally are. That memory stayed because it revealed something they trust more deeply than perfection. It revealed authenticity. Realness creates lasting attachment far more quickly than perfection ever could. That is why they don't spend their time thinking only about how you look. They think about how ordinary moments become different simply because you are part of them. That quiet difference has become impossible to forget. Lately, they have noticed something else that unsettled them. Even in crowded places filled with countless conversations, one thought connected to you somehow rises above every other distraction. They never expected your presence to become stronger with time. They assumed it would gradually fade. Instead, it grew deeper. Because of that, imagining a future no longer feels unrealistic. It feels entirely possible. Don't skip ahead, because this realization carries more weight than it first appears. The reason these feelings continue growing has nothing to do with rushing forward. It comes from recognition. They recognize how naturally you have settled into their thoughts. There has been no struggle, no forcing of emotions, no endless search for explanations. Only a quiet certainty that something valuable entered their life when you arrived. Now one question keeps returning. Should they continue hiding everything? Should they begin speaking more honestly? Should they take one careful step closer and finally reveal what has been quietly growing inside them? Every time those questions return, the answers become clearer. Stay here, because the next chapter may arrive much sooner than either of you expects. There is also something they fear losing. They worry about disturbing the simple connection that already exists between you. When emotions become meaningful, people sometimes hesitate because they fear changing what already feels precious. That is why they appear calm on the outside while everything inside remains active. Yet silence cannot protect growing truth forever. Every passing day adds another memory, another realization, another quiet confirmation, until even they understand these emotions are no longer temporary. Somewhere along the way, they crossed a line they never expected to cross. Now your name, your presence, and your energy no longer appear only once in a while. They return consistently, and consistency is often where the future quietly begins. Stay with me, because something significant is approaching. Before long, what has remained hidden may begin revealing itself through actions rather than words. A conversation that lasts longer than usual. Greater attention. Unexpected honesty. Feelings that become genuine eventually search for a way to be expressed. The person who once questioned what all of this meant is gradually arriving at a place where their heart refuses to deny what it already knows. The remarkable part of this story is that while nothing dramatic may seem to be happening on the surface, inside someone else's heart, an entire vision of tomorrow is quietly being rearranged. The deeper they reflect, the more impossible it becomes to imagine walking away from what they feel. There are moments they never tell anyone about, moments when they suddenly pause because your memory appears without warning. A sentence you once spoke becomes clear again. A familiar moment returns. Even your silence continues carrying meaning long after it has passed. Stay until the end, because this matters more than you know. The greatest surprise for them isn't simply that they think about you. It is that thoughts of you now appear during life's most important moments. They arrive while making serious decisions, while sitting peacefully alone, while asking themselves what truly matters. That means your place in their heart is no longer accidental. It has become part of the way they understand certainty itself. Recently, they asked themselves a question that quietly changed everything. If the opportunity to build something real appeared today, would they still hesitate? The question refused to leave. Each time it returned, the answer grew stronger. Every honest reflection led them back to the same conclusion. Your presence brings an emotional steadiness they rarely experience. Not excitement that fades. Not fascination that disappears. Something deeper, something that remains, even after distance. That is why thoughts of tomorrow no longer feel sudden. They feel earned. Don't leave yet, because this next truth reveals why they have become more serious than ever before. Not long ago, they imagined what it would feel like if you slowly drifted away without ever knowing what they truly carried inside. The weight of that possibility surprised them. In that moment, they understood something impossible to ignore. Losing the chance to know you more deeply would hurt far more than they ever imagined. That realization changed everything. Sometimes the heart recognizes true value most clearly when it imagines life without it. Since then, they have listened more carefully, noticed more deeply, and thought more intentionally. Small signs matter because they know the greatest beginnings often arrive quietly before becoming visible. There is one final truth they rarely admit. What they admire most is not simply what you say, but how naturally you remain yourself. In a world where so many people wear masks, they see something undeniably genuine in you. That authenticity has become one of the strongest reasons their feelings continue growing. Your presence leaves peace behind, and because true peace is rare, they no longer see this connection as something ordinary. They have even imagined conversations that have not yet taken place, moments where honesty replaces caution and guarded words give way to complete openness. Still, each time they picture that conversation, they wait, not because they doubt their feelings, but because they want the moment to be worthy of them. That careful waiting says everything. Right now, their heart has already moved ahead. Their words are simply trying to catch up. With every passing day, they move closer to expressing what they have quietly carried, whether through their actions, the tone of their voice, or unexpected honesty. Their growing certainty reaches beyond simple affection. They believe you possess something lasting, something that survives changing moods and difficult seasons. That is why thoughts of tomorrow now include you naturally, without effort. People do not begin imagining a shared future this early without reason. It happens when the heart recognizes someone worth building that future with. Even if they appear composed on the outside, within themselves they are already crossing emotional distances they never imagined they would travel so quickly. Stay with me, because the next truth is the one they have guarded more carefully than any other. There are moments when someone quietly senses that something between you has begun to change. Long before words are spoken, energy shifts, attention deepens, and feelings grow beyond what can be ignored. What once felt uncertain becomes meaningful. What was once a passing emotion turns into something steady, refusing to fade even with time and silence. When a feeling survives reflection, it often means it is becoming real. The person thinking of you is no longer asking if you matter. That answer is already clear. Now they wonder what happens if they finally stop holding back. That question follows them in everyday moments, growing stronger with each passing day. Even when they try to hide it, their emotions begin to show through longer conversations, thoughtful pauses, and a growing interest in your life. Genuine feelings cannot stay hidden forever. They shape behavior. They have imagined honest conversations with you more than once, and each time it feels calm, not fearful. The only thing left is timing, when silence should finally turn into truth. What started as simple attention has become attachment, then certainty, and now you exist in their deeper thoughts about the future. Nothing may look different on the surface yet, but something inside them has already shifted. Their silence is not absence. It is the slow preparation for honesty that is finally ready to emerge.